Hey, and welcome to Alcohol, Drugs, and Us. Yes, welcome this evening to Alcohol, Drugs, and Us, where we talk about how alcohol and drugs affect a person's health as well as their mind. Okay, and so tonight we got a great topic for you. What's in that cup? And I am one of your hosts, Joseph McCray, addiction treatment nurse and author. I normally do this show with my wife, but she will be back in 2 weeks. Uh, she does the second week of the month, and then we both come together for the fourth week. But I got an exciting topic tonight. I want to talk about what's in that cup. She came up with that title, "What's in That Cup." It became a topic because I used to see a DJ. He was always asking people what's in their cup. And they will call out all these different things about what's in their cup. So I want to start out the show first and foremost with prayer. I believe in the power of prayer. So, Father, we thank you. We honor you tonight. We say that this show will reach the people who need it the most. We say the words that are spoken will touch someone to cause them to think, make a better decision, use wisdom, God, for their life. And we pray that this will go all over the place to the place where it's needed the most. And thank you for using your servant. In Jesus' name, amen. So we're going to get right into talking about what's in that cup. Bring that slide back up. So, what's in that cup? We're going to talk about alcohol tonight, folks. You probably guessed it. We'll talk about alcohol. So, alcohol is a substance that is consumed uh, by mouth, liquid. We drink it, and what it does is it's a depressant. It is a depressant in that it slows down the nervous system. It slows it down, makes things move slowly, communicate slowly, think slowly. Uh, That's one of the effects of alcohol as a depressant. The other thing that it does is it relaxes. It makes people feel really good, uh, really cool, really like, they can let loose and all that kind of stuff. And so these are chemicals that are going on in the brain that are being changed. And this is as a result of drinking alcohol. It also can make people very happy. It releases a chemical called dopamine, and dopamine is a pleasure chemical. It is what is released when we eat food, when we have intimate relationships, when we laugh. We get dopamine release, and what that does is it reinforces us to do that behavior again. It's sort of a survival chemical that the great creator made in us. But when it comes to alcohol and drugs, those things get tricked. Dopamine gets tricked in the brain to cause a lot to be released and cause people to want to come back to it and want to do it again. And that's the danger of drinking alcohol and using drugs, is that it can continue to have you uh, reinforcing the use of a substance that can slowly take its toll on you. And somebody might say, well, Joe, why do you have such a problem with people drinking or using drugs? Well, I know that they change who you are, and you don't always know who you are, and the people around you don't know who you are. And so that's the problem I have, the challenge I have with people who do drink, who do use drugs, because it changes you, it affects you, and many times people don't even know like what they're saying or what they're doing. Okay, and so when I get back to it can make people feel good. It can a lot of things in that brain. It can do a lot of things in the brain. Dr. Koob, the head of the National Institute of Alcoholism and Alcohol Abuse, he says that alcohol is the one substance that touches every part of the brain, okay, like no other substance. So it affects so many areas of your brain. And because of that, it can really be a tough substance to stop because it's affecting you in so many ways, and you're getting some benefits, some enjoyment from it, but it could be taking its toll, could be affecting your health, your relationships, your ability to work and school, all that kind of stuff. But you have to be the judge of that. But tonight, I'm just trying to tell you about what alcohol is and how it affects you. And we do know we have an average drink chart, and we tell folks not to drink more than the average drink in a 60-minute, 1 hour period of time, because we need a particular organ, and you can say that that organ is the liver. We need that liver to process, break down alcohol so that you don't get an effect, so you don't get a drug effect, you don't get a high, and so we need that. I want to show you a video about what alcohol does. This is it's for kids, but I think adults can appreciate it too. Check it out.
Alcohol. Don't mix.
Let's take a closer look at the central nervous system to see exactly what it does, what alcohol does to it, and what that does to you.
The central nervous system, which is made up of the brain and spinal cord, is your body's information superhighway. Electrochemical messengers called neurotransmitters move through more than 100 billion neurons, carrying messages along the spinal cord between your brain and every part of your body.
So your brain can receive information from your organs, interpret it, and send back appropriate instructions, all in an instant. These instructions allow you to do pretty much everything, from dancing to playing video games to digesting your food.
When the central nervous system is impaired by alcohol, it's like a traffic jam. Nerve cells in the brain are becoming less excited, which slows the flow of information to and from your brain.
As a result, drinkers can experience difficulty thinking, weakened vision and hearing, slowed reaction time, slurred speech, memory loss, and more.
Just how much does alcohol slow down the central nervous system? That depends on how much and how fast you drink, whether alcohol is mixed with other drugs, and personal factors like the drinker's weight, gender, and genetics.
As a young person with a still developing brain, alcohol can have a stronger effect on you than on adults.
Learning the facts can help you make healthy decisions. So say yes to a healthy lifestyle and no to underage drinking.
So some real good information. I know the audience that we're targeting were young people, but I think that adults can appreciate it too, just how alcohol works in the brain. You really need to know that. And if you know like what it does in the brain, you can make some responsible decisions. And I understand that what I'm trying to say to people is also with the idea that people have, and that is, if loving you is wrong, I don't want to be right. If feeling this good is wrong, Joe, I don't want to be right, right? Someone wrote a song about that, and I know they was talking about a relationship, but that happens with drugs and alcohol too. Like, how can you tell me this is so wrong? It feels so good. But be careful that you don't get caught up in the trap of addiction, right? It appeals to you, makes it sound all good, but it doesn't tell you that things are going to start falling apart in your life, and sometimes that's soon, sometimes that's many years before it can happen, but anyone who consistently continues to use alcohol and drugs will find some impact that it has on their life, okay? And so that's why I'm here tonight. That's why I'm talking to you. And so we know there are different types of alcohol. We know there's isopropyl alcohol. We put that on our cuts and wounds. You say, well, can you drink that? Sure you can. It's not good. It's very toxic. The one alcohol that we drink is ethanol. It is the least toxic of all the alcohols out there. And so that's what they found to be like okay and safe for human consumption, ethanol. But you'll see that it is too toxic in itself. We talk about the gateway drugs, the gateway drugs. So the gateway drugs are the drugs and substances that people start out using, right? They start out smoking, that's one of them. They start out drinking. And marijuana kind of comes in at third place. But those are the gateway drugs. Those are the things that get people out the gate, that people see in their homes, that they see their friends doing, and they get curious, or they have some type of trauma or need and find that they need a drink or they need to smoke a cigarette, and all of a sudden the ball starts rolling. The ball starts rolling. And so the numbers of alcohol use are up, number of deaths are up, and we can probably recall like what took place in our world that caused a lot of change as far as socialization, um, financial, all that stuff, and we could blame it on COVID. Definitely got to blame it on COVID. According to the Center for Disease Control, excessive alcohol use is responsible for about 178,000 deaths in the United States. This is during the period of 2020 and 2021, okay, which is about 488 deaths per year. So, folks, this is people with liver damage. This is people from accidents. This is homicide, suicide. These are all the things related to alcohol. We used to average around about 90,000 deaths a year, but the number has increased. And so because of that number being increased, we just have to bring more attention, more discussion about alcohol. There's no way that we can't talk more about this subject, okay, more about this substance. I don't really care that it's legal. It still needs to be discussed. People need to be forewarned and aware. You agree with me? I hope so. We asked, like, why do people drink? Is it in their genes? Do they have sort of like what they call a predisposition? Is there something that gets triggered when someone starts to drink? It could be. Statistics say about 50% of what drives people to drink and use drugs is your genetic makeup. The other 50% is your environment. You know, what you're exposed to, what you see, what you get introduced to, all that kind of stuff. Sometimes there's traumas that happen in people's lives when they're young, and the way that they cope with the trauma is through alcohol sometimes. It could be through sexual relationships, could be through food, it could be through drugs. It could be a lot of the different ways people deal with the pain of things that have happened when they were younger. Sometimes family, a mother, father who's drinking could encourage or entice someone to try out alcohol. Statistics say there's a 25% chance a child will become an alcoholic or have what the new term is alcohol use disorder if a parent is in the house drinking. Okay. So, and then sometimes people just have an out and out craving. You know, they just, like it. It tastes good. They felt good. They were very relaxed. They felt like they were a part of the club. They counted. They meant something. All that kind of stuff people will express from drinking. Okay, they just felt like they're somebody now. From drinking. And so a variety, what another word is, a plethora of reasons why people may drink. But I want to get into what does alcohol do? And most of the time when we say alcohol, immediately people start thinking about what organ, folks? they start thinking about the liver. They start thinking about the liver, that large organ on the right side of our body, deep in our abdominal cavity, and not something that we feel, but it's there. It does a lot of functions. Here is a picture of it right there, and you see this little like ligament there that sort of holds it to the abdominal wall. It's called the falciform ligament. It holds the liver in place on your abdominal wall. And here's another picture of the liver, right tucked under the lungs there, and then the little pink thing right next to it is the stomach. So liver is this brown organ, and you got our intestines there, small intestines in the very middle. Then on the outside is the large intestines where we make our bowel movement and all. Definitely want to be take care of your bowels, folks. Get your fiber in, get your water in. Don't go more than 3 days without a bowel movement, all that stuff. That's just a little short commercial for you. And then on the opposite side of the liver is our spleen that plays a role in our immune system. Okay, little anatomy there, and then the very bottom there we have our rectum and all that stuff. So another picture of the liver. This time they gave it a new color. So we got our liver there. It's looking kind of orangey like. Then we have our stomach there. I'm looking at the right side picture. And then we got the yellow, which is our pancreas gland. We know that has to do with insulin and has to do with pancreatic enzymes to help digest food, all that kind of stuff. But the liver is the main thing. When we talk about the liver, we think about it being a filter, right? We think about it being a filter. We think about it making our body safe for what comes into it, all that kind of stuff. And it does that. It does a great job of that. The thing that people need to know is that what it does when alcohol comes in, it really tries to break down alcohol. But in the process of heavy drinking, a woman drinking more than 8 drinks a week, a man drinking more than 15 drinks a week, to get the definition of a heavy drinker. Men can drink a little bit more than women because of their body composition, more water in a man's body, more muscle in a man's body. But tolerance is a whole nother deal having to do with the brain itself. Being that you have drank and drank to the point where your brain can tolerate more, and so you need more in order to get a drug effect. So when we talk about tolerance, we're talking about what's happening in the brain. This is actually a safety mechanism. So the brain is trying to adjust to the 3 beers, to the half a pint, and then after so much of drinking a half pint to the point where now a half pint don't really make you feel high. You just got to go up to a pint. And I've heard stories of people who have had to go up to like a half gallon to a gallon of alcohol, folks. Can you imagine that? Because they developed tolerances. Their brain started to adjust to the amount of alcohol they were drinking, and they had to drink even more and more and more to get some type of effect. You don't want to get to that place, okay? You definitely don't want to get to the place where your tolerance is so high, you have to drink so much. So I want to take a moment, just throw a quick commercial in there for you. This book is available on Amazon. Just got released January 17th, okay? Not even a month. And already it's doing what I wanted it to do. I wanted it to impact the lives of people. I wanted people to be changed. I wanted them to be able to think. I wanted to give them something to think about. Like, should I be doing this? Should I be treating this person this way? Should I be holding bitterness? All of that is what I speak about. And I want people to know. Yes. So just do a little commercial in there for you about a great book that can help you get a better understanding of alcohol. So the liver works as a reservoir. It stores blood for us. About 13% of the body's blood is stored in the liver. It stores sugar. There's times we don't even have food to eat, and the liver stores some sugar for us and makes it available in times where we just don't have food. You know, you've heard of people going on like these long fasts, just drinking water. That's because their liver has been able to store sugar and allow them to be able to survive. It's a big factory, you know, just to wrap it all up. It's a big factory that does some incredible work. And we can't live without a liver, but we do need to be mindful of what alcohol can do to the liver. So, drinking a lot of alcohol over time can damage that liver, can put that liver in what we call cirrhosis. Some people say liver cirrhosis or cirrhosis of the liver. Uh, but cirrhosis is good because there's only one organ that becomes cirrhotic or scarred, and that is the liver. And I want to show you this picture here of how the liver can change. Now, this is just a few seconds that you saw a change, but over about 10 years of drinking, heavy drinking, can get you into a place of liver cirrhosis or cirrhosis. I just did it myself. So it's a liver that's inflamed, becomes inflamed because alcohol itself just becomes toxic to the liver. That's one way. The second way is that while the liver tries to break down alcohol, fat gets stored in it from the foods you eat, and that becomes irritating to the liver as well. So people get fatty livers uh, as a result of drinking. The liver is smart. You know, it knows, hey, you know what? Alcohol just came in here. I got to go and start breaking it down. And then fat gets stored in the liver. You get a fatty liver, which can develop into inflammation, swelling of the liver. And then when the inflammation heals, it heals as a scarred liver. Okay. And the other way is just alcohol being broken down by the liver just becomes toxic to the liver cells. Okay. So a couple ways a person can develop cirrhosis of the liver. And I can't tell you how many times I heard people saying, well, my mother died from cirrhosis, my father died from cirrhosis, my brother died from cirrhosis. I have cirrhosis because there's stages of cirrhosis, stage 1, 2, 3, and 4. And when people are at stage 4, it's time to get a new liver at this point. You got to get it on the liver transplant list. You do have to show some initiative that you want to stop drinking to be a candidate for liver. And I want to show you some slides of what happens when people have liver damage. They complain of pain, pain to their liver. I would say probably the chief complaint that I've seen patients complain of is that they feel so tired, they feel so weak. They just don't have the energy. You're talking about a liver that is inflamed, that is scarred, that's not working well. And so it would be understandable that the person just doesn't have the energy because this liver is not taking care of the nutrients like it would normally do because it's damaged. You know, a substance has come in and damaged it. That substance being alcohol. They have pain. Then they get all this fluid in their bellies, folks. This fluid is right there. It's called ascites. So that is swelling in the stomach because the liver, I told you, it stores blood, but that system gets all backed up. And so the plasma or the water part of the blood now goes to the place of least resistance, and that's the abdomen. So here this fluid is in the abdomen and causing this belly to be huge. And this is not a beer belly. This is a belly full of fluid. And they can get this fluid drained off. People can get it drained off. It's called paracentesis. They get it drained off. because patients have complained that they have trouble sleeping when they have all this fluid in their abdomen. It causes them not to be able to breathe well because I'll go back and show you that picture. This cavity here is the peritoneal cavity. It can get flooded to the point where it makes breathing difficult. And so patients have complained that just laying down, just trying to rest, is just not possible because of the fluid that's built up. I jumped ahead. This picture here has to do with jaundice. This is another condition that happens with cirrhosis of the liver. And this happens because the liver plays a role in breaking down our old red blood cells. Believe it or not, they do wear out after about 120 days, and the liver breaks them down, gets them out of our system, and we never have a problem. But when your liver is not working well, these old red blood cells that have lost that pigmentation are floating around all throughout your body. And now you see this yellowing of the eyes and skin. And it's also very itchy, is what patients complain of. And this will persist. As long as this liver is damaged, this will persist, having this jaundice. And so it's a serious thing when people get to the stage of their liver is just not functioning. They're really people who are at death's door, folks. Unfortunately, they are very sick individuals who are in need of a new liver. They are in need of a new liver. And so there is hope. There is some hope in spite of all of that. You can make the choice of no alcohol, no alcohol. You can make the choice like, hey, you know what, enough of that, and decide, you know what, I'm going to go to rehab. I'm going to go to church. I'm going to turn my life around. I'm going to try to get some quality living out of my life before it's all over. It's never too late to turn around. Don't ever let someone tell you, you know, it's too late. You're already sick. Might as well just drink yourself to death. No, there is some quality of life. There is some hope. People do get a liver. People do turn it around. People do surrender. That's what recovery is about. Recovery is about surrendering, saying, you know what, this has got me beat. You know, I need to reach out to help. I need to see what help suggests and follow the advice of help. I know I've not done everything I should have done, but I'm turning it all around now. And so, Alcohol, Drugs, and Us is a show, a podcast, a YouTube video, a Facebook to try to help people see that these things are very real. It's almost nobody I talk to that doesn't have a family member or a close friend dealing with alcohol. Nobody. I can't run into a soul who doesn't have some connection to somebody with alcohol. And it's just real. It's just real. It's one of those substances that people uh, endure for a long time. They endure years, you know, maybe even a decade or so. But sometimes it can bring things to a close in a short period of time. I've heard of young people, 20s, early 30s, succumbing to alcohol. But I don't want that to be your story. I don't want that to be your story. I want your story to be that you find something else in your cup. You find something new to do with your life. And I hope that we have been a tool to try to help you, to help guide you in the right direction towards recovery, towards rehab. That's what I've hoped. And so do do think about changing your mind. That's what it really comes down to, changing your mind, changing the direction that you've been going. Okay? Um, it's never too late to turn it around. It's never too late to give it a try. And I want to thank you, and you who are listening and watching this. Please share. Please share this information with people you know who could benefit from it. Um, it's just not a good thing to have to suffer in silence. That's the thing. You don't have to suffer in silence. All right. So thank you again for joining us on Alcohol, Drugs, and Us. We'll be back in 2 more weeks. I got a comment here. Let me see. I'm about to run off. Where are some resources for treatment? Yes. Thank you. There is a number that people can call 988. That's a national crisis line. In Baltimore, you can call 410-637-1900. That's the Baltimore Health Systems. They're connected to Baltimore Crisis Response. They can get treatment there. In our city, it's 410-637-1900. And I think I can maybe even type it in here. 637-1900. I think it'll pop up. Yeah. So there it is. So it popped up. All right. And then another one is just a real easy one is 988. That'll connect you to services in your area, in your town. It's a national number for mental health and substance use throughout our country. So you can call those numbers and find help for you, find help for your family. Thank you, Robin, for mentioning that. I just told people to get help, but how do you get help, right? How do you get help? And so that's important to know, like where to go, who do you call, because it can be frustrating. You want help, and then people are not answering the phone, not telling you where to go, and so you might get despondent and say, "Oh, forget about it." But definitely, there's help out there, and there are people who care. You know, there are people who really want to see your life better, because when alcohol affects one individual, it tends to roll over into the lives of other people. You know, if it affects a husband, it affects the wife, it affects the children, might even affect where they go to work or if they're in school. Like, this is a substance that sort of has an impact in a lot of different ways. One of those ways is that it reduces productivity. So people who do drink, many times they don't really produce well, don't really do a good job. And some people say, well, I have a functioning addict in my family. Well, I'll be careful with that word unless you are around that person 24 hours a day. Sometimes people can get by in a job, but when they come home, their family is so devastated because of their substance use. So just be careful with functioning unless you follow them for 24 hours. And then there's also levels of functioning, you know, low functioning, you know, moderate, and or severe dysfunctioning, rather. So I think that's all I got for the night. I didn't want to share too much. I think I definitely told you about what is alcohol and how it affects you. Mainly focused on that liver. That's what comes to most people's minds when they hear about alcohol. Just pops right up. The liver, the liver. Yeah, it affects a lot more organs than that, but that's the main one. That's the main one that people tend to attribute to alcohol, and that is your liver. Well, again, thank you for joining in. Thank you for those who will watch this. I love Facebook, YouTube, podcasts because people can watch it in the privacy of their home. They can watch it or listen to it in their car, and they're just so safe. No one has to know you're listening. And I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it because it allows you to just have that safety, just get that information and begin to start the ball rolling. All right. So thank you. Appreciate you so much.